I'm James Kirk.
I'm Michi Hoyer.
And you're watching simnews.tv.
He's going to pass them both on the wet part of the racetrack. Oh, he's swinged left and right, and then trying to put more up. That was so close.
Hello! And yes, I have got the microphone on, that's a good start. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Scrutineer here on GPVWC's channel, here for Sim News Live. Everyone who's here watching us, no doubt, is big esports fans, so thank you and welcome everybody, sim racing fans, everyone included. If you're new to this, welcome. If you're a hardened veteran and have watched a few series of this now, then very well done. You deserve some sort of medal for surviving this sort of things, especially if you're a driver or a manager, because I'm no doubt taking the absolute mick out of you. For fans of the show, you'll know what's coming, but let's quickly go through. So we're going to go through everything to do with the Super League race that's happening on Thursday, so that's the one that's broadcast through WTF1. Really the top level guys, everything on Rfactor 2 by Studio 397. We're going to go, but it's not like any other series you'll come across. It's got upgrades, we've got tyre choices, engine choices, the most realistic sim experience for sim racing you'll find anywhere. And on that basis, we've got to go through an awful lot of data. So we're going to go through all the car developments, we're going to go through all the engine developments, the engine choices, the tyre choices, we're going to have a look at the weather, we're going to look at penalties, we're going to have a little bit of roasting maybe, we'll have a bit of fun, because it's getting to that time of the year now, round 3, you have a bit of a let off, round 1 everyone has equal cars, so it's not really my domain, that's all on the driver. We're here looking at teams and what they sort of do behind the scenes a little bit more. Anyone can watch the broadcast and know who's a good driver, who's not, but actually reading into it a lot more, you know, are they overdriving that car or are they underperforming in a top car? Very much, you know, you don't know unless you're really looking at these things, because they all look, you know, they look very pretty, but that's about as good as you're going to get. Hello to everybody in the comments, nice to see you all here. We've got Mr. DNF himself, we've also got Argo T there, we've got Street Fighter in here, looking for tips, we've got Yuri in here, nice to see you all. Regular fans obviously popping in. And yeah, of course, if you want to chat in the YouTube comments, please do ask questions. Let's start a debate. Let's have a bit of fun. You know, fire things at me, and we'll see if we can come up with why things have happened, what could possibly be happening, and what we might see changing over the next few weeks, months, and you know, years even. Who knows? GPVs have been around an awful lot of time, so we'll have a quick little highlight on what went on last time out. So last time out we were in Malaysia. We haven't been there for many a year, but we did go there. We were kind of expecting rain. Super League didn't happen though. But we're starting to see. So this was the first round where there was some upgrades. If you watched our last show, brilliant. Thank you very much. If you haven't and you want to watch it, make sure you subscribe and look back on the videos on this very channel, because we're always here. But we've got an awful lot going on. So we have the SL show for this, but to really start looking at form and what could, we saw what happened when it was just on drivers in round 1. What has changed for round 2 when it's also about the cars? Not a lot, basically. The race was very similar names at the top end, very similar names at the bottom end. It's coming quite clear, but it's still only 2 races. It's not an awful lot of data to go on, an awful lot to completely go, yes, that's exactly what's happening. Like, we don't know what the best upgrades are yet, we haven't got a clue. We'll find most of the teams as well won't have upgraded here. They'll upgrade for round 4 because it takes too long to upgrade. You can't bring an upgrade to every single event. Well, you can't bring your 2 full upgrades to every single event. You can bring an upgrade to every event, and we have people that have done that. But let's have a look at the results from race 2. So some lovely graphics here. It may look familiar, but we had Janet Bock coming away again with the win. So that's 2 wins in a row at the start of the season off. Couldn't get any better than that, could it? Evolution Motorsports getting a 1-2 as well. Fantastic event for them. Coming off the back of a 1-3 in round 1, so they're starting to look like they might even be running away with the championship. Arguably, this is actually a better start to the season than even my own team did back when we had Rudy Van Buren in the team at this stage. So that's quite worrying for a lot of people potentially, including my own team. Alex Siebel rounding out the podium as well. So the 3 podium sitters were the same for both races. So that might tell you quite a bit as well. All German as well. They're obviously loving GPVWC. The Red Archers scored very well in 4th and 5th. We then had Epic actually scoring some decent points with Fournier in 6th. Scuderia Brasilia carrying on what was quite a good start to the first race with Stefan in 7th. Eros didn't quite... He showed more potential than actually the 8th place showed. At certain points in pace and qualifying and such, he was right at the top end. So to really, to drop back to 8th, probably disappointing, although based on the first race for Adonis, actually they'd be quite happy with those sort of points, I'd imagine. Petter Burlak came back into the series, having missed round 1 for Edge. Well, both drivers for Edge came into this as their start of the season, effectively. So they've got a bit of catching up to do, particularly after a poor round 1. Wasn't, for Edge's level, this really wasn't probably where they wanted to be, so they ended up 9th, though. And Dan Brewer followed up his good result in Melbourne with another top 10 finish from Mad Cape. We then go at the bottom half. Mike Kill also scored points for Epic, giving them a double point score. Flag to flag with Sergio Harris scoring some points with Scuderia Brasilia's Malnek scoring more points again for Scuderia Brasilia, scoring them a double points finish as well. David Fidek scoring double points for ACR in 14th. Liam DeWall dropping back quite considerably from qualifying, but still scoring a point for Hawkeye in 15th. Again, another one of the people that probably does have potential, but just something didn't quite go right. Incident, strategy, that side of stuff. Reminds me a bit of I'm thinking of Lopez of many years gone by, where he's obviously got the raw pace, but not actually converting it into results in and every single time. May have a great race and then poor one. We did have some other finishes, so we actually had Florian Gaia, Zappler, Walker Helstra and Alex Cooper all finished. Not scoring points though. And then your non-finishers were Paolini. Who else do we have? An awful lot of DNS. I mean, the whole list is there. Let's be honest. Let's not give them too much focus. Sadly, both. So we've got a few teams now that have had either double DNFs or double non-point scores. We'll come to those as we go on, because yes, it is slightly worrying for a few teams potentially. A few surprises in there when you start looking at some of the quality. Daniel Kiss, Queekle, Costa, these guys will not have wanted to be down this sort of level. These are guys that have won championships or have been winning series recently. So that's already happened. We know that's already happened. There's a lovely highlights video by George Whitehouse. Make sure you catch that. That's on this channel as well. It highlights it all in about 7 minutes if you want to really catch it up. Make sure you catch up with that. Oh, I'm just about to lose my mouse. That's not good, is it? That wasn't clever. So you can tell I'm not particularly planned for today, but no matter. We shall... Who have we got? What, anything going on in the comments? 5 Germans on top. Australian GP? Have I put that on there? Oh well, Malaysian, doesn't matter. Second place. 5th on pace. Stefan's got a place as well, isn't he? Right, okay. David John just bigging up his own team in the chat. Nice work. I suppose someone's got to. Let's have a look at the first part. Hey.
So welcome to the Superleague 2019 car. These are all the parts that the teams can upgrade on. So heading in straight into the body of the car, you'll see that they can upgrade the dirty air on the diffuser, the downforce diffuser as well. They've then got the options of heading towards the rear wing, where you'll find they've got 3 options of the downforce there, the drag or the dirty air, all on the rear wing only. You can then head straight on to the front wing, where they've also got 3 options of dirty air, downforce or drag on just the front wing. And then heading back to the whole main car, they can also upgrade the chassis mass or the body drag of the car as well. These are all the options they've got across the car.
Hey, so yeah, all the bits and pieces we've got to upgrade on the cars. Awful lot of things teams can choose. So we're going to quickly run through them in championship order, which we'll talk about as we go through as well. There's not an awful lot this time out. It's kind of expected for round 3. Normally you get a couple of teams that have sort of gone a bit out there, want to be a bit different, but we knew from round 2 the amount of upgrades people had put on, they wouldn't be able to do that this time out. Which makes it quite an even championship again. It's not going to be one of these where we've got a clear car that's going to be the best this race, that car's going to be the best the next race, that one's the one after. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to go, yeah, that's the team to look for. Makes my job a little bit harder. Thanks. But at the same time, it means we get very, very close racing potentially. The cars are very, very similar, minor differences, and that can be more suited then to the driver in the way they set it up the car and certain tracks as well. Okay. So, yeah. What have we got going on then? Let's have a look, see. So, Evolution are leading the championship. No surprise there when they've had 2 wins and 2 podiums as well. I'll tell you what though. I'm going to have to fix a very small problem here. Bear with people. I've realised I probably need one of those. I might have to go to the Overcut guys and go, can you get me one of those, you know, like TV issues kind of slides. Anyway, back to where we were. Evolution. So Evolution, this is what they did last time. So they've brought nothing extra here because they couldn't. So they've done the body drag and the weight. Can we lead then from that was the team that's dominated quite well, that actually that was the way to go? Still early doors, but we could maybe say that. ACR did the same areas, and equally like Alex Siebel's got 2 podiums as well now, so maybe. Red Archer still sitting in 3rd, which is, you know, well done to anyone who predicted that at the start of the year so far. They also did body drag and weight though. I'm hoping that this is potentially their year. You know, they're looking at, they've been sort of mid to lower half of the pack the last few years. Awful lot of drivers. Let's hope they can keep the drivers. It looks like these 2 drivers, you know, could be little diamonds at the moment. They're doing rather well. So it's only 2 races, so we'll withhold on that. But so far, got to be the team that most people are going, oh wow, didn't expect them to be quite up there. Scrutineer Brasilia also did the same areas, so maybe we can start to see something at this stage. You know, that's top 4 teams have all done the same 2 areas. Maybe not though. It's still very early to say, like so. Yeah, because a lot of these teams will have scored most of their points in the first race as well. ACR doing the same as Evolution. How surprising. Well, yeah. There's a few teams that you'll see doing the same up and down the grid, particularly engine suppliers as we go through that. But you know, you can't really fault people when they have a winning system. It's when people copy each other and it's a poor system, then you can criticise. You know, if you found a way to make £100 by betting £1, you'd regularly do it, wouldn't you? But if someone told you, I bet £100 but you get £1 back, you don't follow that person, pretty much. So yeah, anyway, let's carry on. Epic have jumped themselves up actually. It's very close in that midfield, but after their after their grid look, we've got another team that's done Body Dragon weight at this stage, but it's such small figures at this point. I'm interested to see what they do next time out. So, do the teams stick to these areas? Is that what they've chosen, or was this just the first time and next time out they're going to do something different? We've seen that in the past as well. A team that's still quite high up is Madcake. Now, they're the first team that's done something different at this stage. So they've still done the body drag, but they haven't done the weight. They've done the diffuser. So that's one that was traditionally a big thing last year. They've stuck to the diffuser, and it's working very well for them at the moment. You know, Daniel Brewer particularly propping that team up really at the moment with some very good results. We come to one team that I do want to talk about, who's more interesting, is Edge. So thank you, Edge, for doing something different. So this is a team who brought one upgrade last time out, and they brought one upgrade this time. They did the very similar last year. They've made this way. It means you can bring an upgrade to every event. So they're off kilt slightly. It means you never actually have the very best car. Well, technically you do here actually, because no one else has done this. But in this case, then it means you've got a slightly marginally better car than everybody else, in that they've got a 21 diffuser there. Rather than everyone else, if I compared you back to, let's throw Madcake back up, they've got a 13 diffuser, for example, so that's where the difference is there. The weight figure is very similar to everyone else, but they've done the diffuser and that's higher. Next time out, they won't be able to have upgraded the diffuser anymore, but they will have been able to put a weight upgrade on. So they're still not going to be at the top. They're going to, well, arguably they should be at the very bottom next time out. So we should see Edge yo-yo quite heavily over the next few races. But it could be quite a decent tactic actually, in that they knew for, say, that maybe there was a guess what maybe for round 2. We know that both their drivers missed round 1. They were off in Madrid doing their things. Great work to them, but or elsewhere. And so when they came back, maybe there was a gamble that they weren't going to be ready for round 2, or particularly up to speed, or maybe they were going to miss it altogether. I don't know. So maybe they didn't really go for that, and round 3 is going to be the one that they're really going to go for. I hope so, because yeah, round 2 they didn't seem to be quite on pace or up to where you'd expect them to be. So that says to me they probably didn't have as much practice. So I'm expecting them for round 3, this round coming up, to be really on the ball, and they've got the best car. So they're probably the team you should be looking at a bit more. This is the team where we could start looking at going, well, are they up to it then in that case? We know that they're brilliant drivers. We've seen them elsewhere. But then maybe it's a question of how committed they are, or maybe it's a question of how much time and knowledge they put into a new car, how quickly they can adapt. We did see last year that Petter took quite a while to sort of get himself into the rhythm. Once he did, though, he was flying and you could barely stop the guy. But it's maybe it's a new mod that he's not. It takes a bit of time to get used to. Maybe that's Edge itself. It takes a bit of time. Don't know. But they should, in theory, have the best car upgrade points wise. But of course, you've got to remember that all the teams, the top 5 there, wasn't it, Epic upwards, haven't done the same upgrades as Edge. They've done weight, but they haven't done the diffuser. So they're saying we don't think that's the best one to do necessarily. They might not. They might do diffuser for round 4. But we'll see what Edge pull out the bag this time out. They may have pulled up a blinder here, because they're the only team to have done that. Flag to Flag, sitting mid-pack, also done Body Drag and weight. Hawkeye, they've done weight and diffuser. You start seeing some common themes going on. Adonis, they've done front wing downforce and diffuser, so they were an odd one. But they did score better points last time out, worked for Eros to some degree. Didn't quite work for him with the strategy side of stuff, so that and second car was nowhere, to be fair. Hopefully that changes. Missouri, this is where we start getting into the interesting phase. So actually Adonis had 0 points before round 2, so these are now the teams that haven't scored yet. Apologies Missouri, I know you do have a new car livery and I haven't put it in this. If you want to see it, it's on the competitions page on DPVWC's website or on the mod. Or you'll see it on Thursday on track, no doubt. And it'll be there for next time. But for now, this is what we had anyway. And Missouri haven't brought anything extra here, but they've done front wing downforce and diffuser, the same as Adonis, who they also supply engines from, and presumably then would work together. Whoever it was that mentioned that in the chat. But unfortunately 0 points. Although they have, both drivers have finished both races just outside the points, I believe, or at least they count. They were classified anyway, which is quite important. I think you can take that either way. They're reliable, so they're going to be there to pick up points when other people drop it, or they never had the pace in the first place, and that's all they're ever going to do. Whereas some of these teams may have had the pace but not the luck, or the, anything like that. Such teams as Red Bull Street Fighter, so they've done weight and diffuser as well. Nothing extra this time out, of course, because they brought those upgrades last time out. Unfortunately, this season seems to be carrying on from last year to another 2 DNFs. Oh well, not DNF, sorry. Florian did finish, but still 0 points. Closer though, like I said, that's that. If you're 1 off the points, you should be there picking it up at some point. But yeah, we'll see. When you get to this sort of point, you kind of go like, am I shooting fish in a barrel? Or it's early doors for these 5 teams. It is with 0 points. Let's be honest, you're starting to be on the radar now. This is now where you go, right, equal teams is first round, bit different. Then you start putting car upgrades on, and now you should be used to those car upgrades. So we've got 2 rounds here. Apart from Edge, everyone else got the same car they had last time out, so they should be pretty used to this car by now, and should know where they're going with it. That's it. I mean, my worry with Street Fighter was actually if anyone caught the Overcut show just after the event a week and a half ago now. If you haven't, again, it's on this channel. He was interviewed by Lee. I can't remember who he was on with now. Anyway, and Tim, Lee and Tim won. And they seemed very down. I mean, now he just come off the race, and it's literally about half an hour after they step out of the car, or the rig in our case. So you're probably quite, if you've spent a good few hours of your life scoring 0 points, I can understand being very much down in the dumps, as it were. But it did seem very different to what we were hearing last year. So when we heard them interviewed last year, because we've got that direct comparison to when they weren't scoring last year and they were bottom, you kind of go, well, actually, that was very much right. We're going to turn things around. We're working together. I can see it. We've got the pace. We could. It was an awful lot of positive thinking, at least. This seemed to be very much, we just didn't. We don't know what's wrong. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going with it. We're going to have to try other things. It seemed very demoralised, and I hope that maybe that works better for them. Maybe last year was delusional, and this year is the realisation they're going to really try for it. So I'm hoping it's that way around. But yeah, there is a worry, particularly when they're working with, let's be honest, they're working with green stripes as well. The Red Bull stuff's all over it. I did say, Whoopke, that Missouri will have a livery for round 3. I did say that. I even told people to go and look for it. Come on now. Yeah, so, SOS and green stripes all working together. Same driver pool, same upgrade side of stuff. Still both with 0 points. It'd be very interesting to see who starts scoring first. They're both there or thereabouts, near enough scoring. It didn't, there was never a point where we went, they're going to really score big, and because of this they fell down the order. It just doesn't seem to be the pace there. 2 teams I do then very much worry about at the moment though is WTF1. New boys to the league. In theory, should come bottom in that they were the lowest team. No, Green Stripes were. Green Stripes should come bottom, shouldn't they? They were the lowest team from what was Super Cup back then to have come up. Apologies. But yes, I do worry about this. Again, more DNFs. Yeah. Weight and diffuser though, standard ones to do. It's what a lot of teams at the back end of this grid are doing. So you're all working on the same sort of levels though. So actually, as we saw with Adonis, one good race throws you right up halfway up the grid. They were on this end last time out. Still salvageable. We're only 2 races in. How dare you mute me for a minute, Whoopke? Muted the stream for a second. How dare you? You're no longer welcome. Goodbye. Storm Racing. Unfortunately, propping up the field at the moment. It was very much a gamble, bringing in 2 complete rookies. The whole Brazilian lineup. I like the fact it's a roll of the dice, and it could pay off or not. At the moment, it looks like it's not. But these guys will have had more of an uphill struggle probably to get used to the league and the mods and all that side of stuff and the workings of it more than anyone else, because they're just a completely different ball game they were doing. So in that respect, it could take them a little bit of time to get used to it. So we'll give them a little bit of leeway, but considering where Storm were last year, The only good side to all these teams, really, compared to last year, was that there's 5 teams with 0 points here, and a lot of teams at the bottom end that aren't scoring many either. So it's not like you're just bottom and gone, that's it. You're in a battle here with an awful lot of teams, and a few points could potentially make all the difference. One good race, 2 double points score, even at the bottom end of the points, really throws you right up the table. Yeah, going to be quite exciting to see, really. And who will blink first? When do you hit a point where you go, it's the drivers, not the team, or the drivers go, I can't work with this? At some point we will see driver changes, no doubt. It's which of these bottom 5 teams. I would assume the bottom 5 teams were the first ones to do it. I would also assume maybe the new guys of GSR and WTF1 might be the ones to stick with their lineups. First year, if they're turning up all the time and they're learning the league, that's pretty good. When you're looking at Missouri, SRS and Storm, who have all been here before, they would be the ones which should be worrying more than anything else. So yeah, that's Storm. That was all the car upgrades, and a little bit of where I think we're all at the moment. So let's have another look at the second section. Yeah, engine development. So we've got 4 engine manufacturers, if you haven't been here before, a bit like Formula 1, and they supply all the other teams as well, but in this case it is the same spec engine. There's no differences between the manufacturer and the customers. We've got the 4, and we will show you those 4 now. So we've got the Valiant, the Quasar, the Talos, and the Revington. Obviously, again, a bit like car development, you can't upgrade for one race straight after the other. There's just not enough time. So again, expect around 4 for these upgrades. But like last time, we've got 3 of them with power upgrades of 20 of those percentages. So Talos, Quasar, and Revington go for 20% power, and Valiant went for 20% fuel. You then look at it going, well, actually, that's quite a disproportionate amount of the grid. Well, it's not actually, because Valiant have most of the grid. It actually works out more even than you'd think, and makes for a good show potentially in what we're going to watch on Thursday. What it means, though, if you actually wanted to upgrade these things, the power itself increases the brake horsepower, which basic brake horsepower. It doesn't involve the mapping, which is the boost, and doesn't involve the fuel particularly. The fuel on the Valiant allows you to use less fuel per kilometre driven, or effectively it's much more difficult than that, different boost settings and everything else, but it means you can, in theory, either use boost for longer or higher boost for longer, or you can carry less fuel, which is less weight, which makes you faster anyway. Those sort of things. Varies, depends what you want to do. At this stage, 20% is not a huge amount anyway, it's not a big margin. We're not going to see really that was the key difference anywhere yet. Come round 4, when in theory it would be around 40%, maybe a bit less, because it slows down as you develop. Then those sort of areas, if they stick to the same area, or if they've gone 20 and 20 somewhere, then, but I mean 40 overall, then that will be interesting. We saw last year teams do one development normally early doors on one area and then go somewhere else. We saw other ones go, I'm just going to stick to the same thing all the way through. That's what's for me. So that's quite interesting as well. Again, it's going to be one of those we have to learn the next time out, but we're getting an awful lot of data from this because there's an awful lot of cars that are around. That said, it depends on what track you're at. But Mark said there, Bahrain is a power track, should be an easy win for the non-Valiant engines. Arguably though, Sepang is quite a power track. Didn't quite go so well for the non-Valiant engines there. But yeah, you never know. So let's have a look at the engine choices. Of course, those engines only count if you've got 100% engines. If you have got a worn engine, that is a percentage of your brake horsepower down, effectively. And it also is also more worn, so it's more likely to fail if you put more and more stress on it. So you never know. So let's have a look at what they've done. Yeah. So again, championship order. There's an awful lot of fresh engines you'll find as we go through this, which makes sense. It's round 3. We saw a lot of used engines last time out, a couple of new ones, but mostly used. They used it in Australia. You'll roughly get 3 races out of an engine, as a guess work. But that third race will potentially be quite difficult, depending on how well you did, if you finished the other 2 races on it. Yeah. So we'll see. So these guys have bought 2 new engines. You can also see on the bottom there that their engine they used previously has 37% life left on both their cars, in Bok and Jordan's. They're using the Valiant engine there though. ACR bought 2 brand new engines. You also see that theirs are also equally as worn as Evolution's. Red Archer have done the exact same and also have 2 worn engines still sat there. Scrutineer Brasilia though, they went slightly different. So Minek is very much doing what the guys we've just seen above is doing, and he's got a fresh engine and he's got a 38 left. Stefan though did use a fresh engine at Malaysia. He's also chosen to do a fresh engine now. So this will be his 3rd engine in 3 races that he's started to use. So that's an interesting one to watch on that car. As you can see below his name, you've got 2 engines there with 69%. No Google's airs. But they've got 2 69%. So in theory, after this race, he'd have another one. So that'd be half his engines already vaguely used. They've got plenty of life left in them, but not the fresh engines. Now there's 2 parts to this. It either means he just thinks all the power tracks are early doors. You know, we have got a few, like Monaco and Baku and stuff coming up, where you could use more worn engines, I suppose, potentially. And then, but it also means, so you've got 6 you can use, 6 engines, as you can see across the bottom there, 5 in the one they've picked. But you can buy 2 more engines. So you can buy a 7th and 8th. Costs you £1 million for your team and gives you a penalty. I'm assuming still back of the grid, although that may have changed. It might only be 10 places now. Something for the DC. Anyone want to give me a question? Anyone listening who knows? Please give me an answer in the chat. That'd be great. Might be nice to teach myself something there. Was the back of the grid. I'm going to stick to it. Probably still is the back of the grid because they haven't updated the rules yet. But who knows nowadays? It could be only 10. That seems to be the standard that they do nowadays. But you can't buy those engines until you have used all the 6 engines you've got at least once. So we saw last year Fournier for Epic doing that similar sort of route, in that he used his engines quite early on, first half of the season, used all 6 at least once. So it meant he had a lot of fresh engines to start the year, and he could buy 2 for further down the line when he wanted to use them as well. It gives you a lot more options potentially, but means when you do want to use a lot of your engines, they're not at 100%. They're only, they're only at 69 in this case. Not too bad, but still going to make a bit of a difference, particularly around some tracks, you know, Monza and such like that. Yeah, thought worth bringing up though, because Epic are now using worn engines. So they used fresh engines last time out. They also use fresh engines, of course. First race they had to, so their first race engines are there with 69% left, and they're now using last time's engines effectively again. Woopke thinks that worn engines may fail slightly. Well, Missouri would hope that, I suppose. Getting a few places. Yeah, Madcake, 2 fresh engines, sticking the same route as the guys at the top end. Edge, 2 fresh engines. Unsurprisingly, you'd want to maximise all the while you've got the best car as well. You may as well use that. You'll see the other, say for example, Daniel Kiss, who didn't do very much mileage last time. Well, yeah, that car's not done much mileage at all, actually, in the hands of either driver. So it's still got a 68% engine there, even though they're only using 100. So he's got quite a lot of engines left for the rest of the season, slightly more than everyone else, but obviously hasn't got any points yet. Flag to flag, using 2 fresh engines. They got 2 one engine worn by each driver so far. Hawkeye, they are using worn engines, but due to DNFs and such like that, means that they still have got 5 fresh engines. Now, Costa, absolutely fine at 61, you'd assume. Yeah, whereas Liam de Waal at 37% will be one to watch. You know, it's going to be tough maybe with that. Not sure, it should in theory. It's our first test this year to see if an engine can get through at 37%. It's very much how you drive it, of course. If you drive it like you drive a 100% engine, it will fail. But if you change the parameters slightly and drive it slightly differently, be a bit more careful with it, a bit more forgiving, then potentially you can get it to the end. And everyone's going to have to do this at some stage. Those engines at 100% losing 33% each time, meaning that you're going to have to use this engine at some stage. he's chosen here. Fair enough, if that's what he wants to do. You know, on one hand, the downside to that is that an awful lot of this grid have 100% engines. Fine. So it means they've got a big advantage over you. On the other hand, Talos do have the power upgrade, so that gives you more brake horsepower than all the Valiant cars, which is half the cars on the grid anyway. So you've got a higher starting point for your brake horsepower. So a worn engine drops you down a bit. So you're not going to be actually, you know, I haven't done the maths, but you're not going to be a million miles off of the Valiant power anyway. So maybe you're not going to be that far behind everyone else. Once the car starts developing a lot more, then maybe you would be. So maybe it's an early doors great idea, assuming you can get it to the end. You may not be too far behind. Particularly while some of these teams at the back end maybe haven't got their act together anyway, you might be able to still pick up points with worn engines. Fresh engines for the guys at Adonis. Missouric also bring fresh engines, although it must be noted that Paolini, I believe, blew his engine last time out. But, yeah, okay. Whoopkey saying you don't have to use 3 engines 3 times, 6 engines and buy 2 engines. Well, yes, fine. That presumably means then that Missouri are quite happily spending an extra £4 million and getting some nice penalties for their drivers as well. Not all teams will want to do that, but yes, that is an option to you. The fact we have got 2 less races this year does open up that a little bit more, meaning you don't have to use all these engines for sure. But yeah, one Dino, if you blow your engine, of course, it's then out regardless of what the percentage was beforehand. He was on his 2nd race with that one. SRS have gone with worn engines due to sort of DNFs and such like that. They're still on the same set of engines, so they've got a lot of fresh ones, but they've, you know, 41 and 55 again. Ones to watch slightly, particularly Florian's at 41. You'd hope he should be able to survive with that, but that is going to be slightly underpowered. Green Stripes also, no surprise there, have done the same route as SOS, but Cooper with 36 is the other one to watch, along with DeWall. A little bit of worry if I was in that car. You would be very much nursing that car home. You know, these guys, in fact, it was Franchik last year that did that. He managed to do a whole race, I think, in stupidly high gears, and he did get to the end on a very low percentage engine outside the points, but he got to the end. And, you know, he's part of the same team, so maybe that's what they're doing. WTF1, 2 fresh engines there for them. Fair enough. Michael does have a slightly better engine at 73 there, though, that he could have used potentially, but they've gone with fresh engines, which is fair enough. And then we go to Storm. I've got 2 fresh engines at the back of the grid. Why not? Hey? Seems to be the route most people are going. Michael A is going to turn off at the wall of shame. Oh dear. Tyre choices. So we've got tyre selections. Not as many options this time as you'd think. So teams had to pick 3 compounds of the 5 available to them, not including your wet and intermediates. We haven't gone silly and started calling ours C1, 2, whatever, all that malarkey and changing it all the time. We've literally just gone, you've got the ultra soft, the super soft, the softs, mediums and the hards. Take your pick. Yeah, so here we go. So most of the teams have chosen the 3 softest compounds. Makes sense. Ultra soft, super softs and softs. We saw that last time out as well. That was the majority of teams also choosing that. You don't have to run all 3 compounds. You can only run 2. You can run all 3, but you do definitely have to run 2. So let's quickly go through it. So Scrutineer, Basilia, Storm, Hawkeye, Edge, Madcape, Epic, Red Archer, Flag to Flag, Green Stripes, SOS, Adonis and Missouric have all gone with that option. A team that is turning out to be sort of one of the ones that likes being an oddball a bit, YTF1, has gone the ultra softs, the softs and the mediums, so they don't have that super soft option to themselves, but they do have the qualifying ultra soft still. And then our 2 championship standings leaders at the moment, Evolution and ACR, have gone with ultra softs, super softs and hards. No mediums or softs for them, so that's slightly different as well. We try and pick into these what we normally do. I mean, the guys at the top there with the top 3 compounds, you'd normally think, oh well, they're doing lots of stops, because that doesn't necessarily mean that. The softs can potentially go quite far as well, so it doesn't mean that. In theory, you'd look at that and go, well, the top guys, the top teams up here would be looking at doing more stops but going quicker. The teams at the bottom there might not be. They might be doing longer stints. Doesn't necessarily mean that, we don't know at this stage, but that's the sort of options you've got. So most of the teams are going to be on the same basis. They've all got the ultra soft to qualify on. Great, so you can watch qualifying in free in the knowledge that everyone's doing the best they can, apart from a few penalties that will come across. And then come the race, everybody's got the same options to them, with the exception of WTF1, Evolution, and ACR. So that's how you need to know that, really, isn't it? Let's have a look at this next part going on. Weather. It's Bahrain. It's sunny. What a shock. I do feel like I need a proper green screen weather. Oh, a weather girl. I could just go and get a weather girl. Come on in and just tell you it's going to be be nice and sunny over here and that sort of stuff. Yeah. That hard looks yellow. Is that just me? You need to see a doctor, mate. That's not good. Yeah, shouldn't be yellow. So regardless of that, so that's the weather. Looking good, looking hot. That makes it much easier. One less variable in that we haven't got the weather particularly to look at there. So we should have a look at the Wall of Shame. Everybody loves the Wall of Shame because everybody knows somebody on it. This strategy won't work when you mention it every time in the Scrutineer mic. Hey, what can you do about it now? Everyone's picked the tyres. Yeah, Wall of Shame. So these are guys that all got penalties last time out. Now, I've also put on why these people got penalties. Some of them are stupid penalties that should be avoided. So for example, we've got, well, it'll kick through. You've got a few here. So we've got some that have got, who last time out got time penalties onto theirs, or have grid penalties. So on that page there, you've got Costa, Brewer and Stefan wrote. Stefan and Brewer got 5-second penalties for avoidable contacts. So that's in the race actually hitting somebody else. And then on this page you've got, for example, there you've got Queekle, who had during the race a drive-through penalty, and then he's also had a stop and go for speeding. Daniel Kiss also had a drive-through but for a jump start. Michael Ayres had a stop and go for speeding. Let's go back to the other one. We've got Ricardo Costa has a 3-place grid penalty this time for avoidable contact as well. So he's one to that'll affect obviously his qualifying this time. Let's kick it over again. Sorry guys, because we've got a few more. So then we've also got George Sutton had a drive-through for speeding. Alex Cooper got a drive-through for speeding, and Michael had a stop-go for a track cut. I'm not quite sure why he did that, but that was these are sort of guys that are struggling away. I'm hoping they don't appear on here quite a lot. We might have to start making. I mean, there is, if you want to have a look, and people have licenses and they lose license points for all these sort of things, and some of these guys have already lost some license points over the 2 races. They haven't got that many license points, and that if you run out of license points, you end up with race bans and season bans, even if you persistently kept going with that. A lot of these people may well have seen appear last time out. It's not great when you've got teammates on here as well. That's not good. For example, green stripes. These are the sort of things though that where we're looking at all the things where the team is putting all this into the car, they're doing the engine choices, doing tyre choices, all this sort of stuff, and then the drivers come out and go, yeah, I hit somebody, or it's I've got to stop go because I cut the track, or started too soon, those sort of things, or speeding in the pit lane. All these sort of things are just like, oh, that's such a stupid thing to do, and we're in the top level of Rfactor 2 sim racing here, single seater. This is these are meant to be the creme de la creme of sim racing and esports, battling away for sums of money. Really, guys, some of these penalties are pathetic. Anyway, I mean, I can't do it, so I'm looking at the management perspective. That's why I sort of take the mick about everything else, because we know what we're doing here. But on track, though, even as a viewer, you start going, really, guys, yeah. I expect it from some people, but some of these I didn't really expect that at all. So anyone rounding up in the comments there, they probably don't like Wall of Shame. Wall of Shame is gone. Someone can go and get Michael Ayres. It's fine. He can come back for now, till he appears next time. So to summarise, guys, Not a lot has changed. You've just watched a whole show for not a lot. All the cars are pretty much the same except for Edge. They've brought one upgrade, so it's not quite a full development. It's one development effectively. They're the only ones with that. No engine upgrades, so engines exactly the same as they were. The weather is nice. That's good. You've got engine choices. An awful lot of people taking fresh engines. 2 or 3 that you need to look at, as in may well fail or will be hampered during the race. Cooper, DeWall, and somebody wasn't it? Down that end, there was 3 of them anyway. Was it Flowing maybe? Flowing was about 40, wasn't he? They're about the 3 I think you need to have a look at. And then the tyre strategy as well. Most of the teams are all on the 3 softest compounds, except for YTF1, Evolution and ACR. So they're the 3 you need to watch out for on that basis. So make sure you watch us on Thursday on this very channel. So if you liked what you see and you want to watch it, make sure you've watched that highlights video from George Whitehouse. Thank you again for him. But make sure you've subscribed and hit that bell notification. You'll get told every time we go live. You can catch all the action then, not just the WTF1 Superleague, which happens on Thursday night. Racing action starting from 8 o'clock British summertime. And in fact, the broadcast starts a good half an hour before that. You can watch all the qualifying and all the build-up and everything else that goes into it. Before that, though, we have got 2 series. So we've got a series on Tuesday night where we run the Super Cup, which is sort of like Formula 3 almost at this point. And then you've got effectively our own GP2, which is Super League Lights. So it's a watered-down version of this. They do upgrades and bits and pieces, but smaller amounts and not everything in it. Yeah, so that's what you can do. Make sure you follow that, and then after the race, make sure you watch the overcut, because you can catch all these guys that have been racing. You get all the reaction. You get some real fresh reaction out of people as well. Sometimes it's a little bit more raw than you normally get for interviews and people afterwards, even from the guys that have won or done very well. Sometimes you can get little bits out of that. So Lee's very good at getting people talking and getting people over there. So make sure you follow that, or get involved even. Even if you're just a viewer, you can go and get involved, give your opinion. Think of it as like a talk show, call-in show. We like that here at simnews.tv. We've got all that action going on here at GPVWC. So make sure you have, followed us, liked us, subscribed, tweeted us, Instagram, all this sort of like. We're on it all. We want to hear from you. We want to get involved. It's nice to know the community. It's a great little community here at GPV. I hope you're all backing everybody and getting involved and getting really to know this series. I really think this championship is going to look really, really good. Can Bock carry on and make probably an unprecedented 3 wins in the current, most recent climate for Evolution? Can Evolution keep running away with it? Or are we going to see some of these teams really catching up and getting more wins again like last year? And then the 5 teams at the bottom, can they get some points? Are they going to get off the board? I really hope so. I will be back again in 2 weeks' time. We're going to do this once more ahead of round 4. We will have an awful lot going on then, so don't miss that one. We'll have upgrades aplenty and lots happening and an awful lot more data to have looked in on. So make sure you join me there. Thank you everyone for joining me at this very late hour. I know for particularly some people around the world, it's rather late at this stage. So yeah, bedtime guys for everybody. Or if you've been inspired, get the mod, get the laps done, get Bahrain up and running, and go and drive. That could be good fun as well. Thank you everybody for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, like I said, and thank you everybody. See you next time.